Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got something very cool to show y'all. The new update. Now, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but except for updates, we got this new update, of course. Major update. World environment. They added dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were in the game, but it was kind of hard to spot them in. No, these NPCs were kind of a change to the environment biome, so you only need to generate new and unexplored areas to see them. Devastated lanes. Sewers now have proper atmospheric effects and create spots. Ah. Areas beneath volcanoes now use volcanic environmental effects. Fixins to placements, textures, and interiors in barren villages. Removing the visible fill block behind the bench in the Forgotten Temple. NPCs and creatures added knockback resistance to NPCs that previously did not have it. Fire themed NPCs are immune to fire. Crystal, earth goals, common behavior, and spin attacks have been improved. Yeah, this guy's crazy. Skeletons no longer take ground damage. Remix are immune to the environmental damage caused by cactus and brambles. Replace Chork Shaman placeholders, summoning animation, and proper loot. Livestock. Cantorius wildlife predators, such as fox, should no longer engage players unless attacked. So yeah, fox should not attack anymore. Backpacks are easier to obtain. 8. New hidden breakstones for stone. Horses, torches. And then we got character customization right here. We'll check that out later. New hair color, lavender. Yeah, I feel like character customizations, there's gonna be like over 100 soon. Maybe 1,000. Now, combat balance. Weapons attack should now check the sight. The regular bird effect. Cactus and prey. Commands and server. Fixing argument over teleport commands. Whitelist. And ban some commands now support both all usernames. Bug fixes, and then that's it. We now have the update. And we're also at the end. Now we got this new update. But first of all, my brother called my avatar chopped. So yeah, we gotta change that up. Fix the problem. Same changes. So yeah. I don't think we need any eyes. So yeah. We're gonna fix that. I think we can do it like this right here. See? get like, yeah, that's it. How do? Yeah, we. Yeah, this is just me right here. And I wish I had these like headphones right here. It would be pretty cool. But now, let's log. And yeah, this is my brother's world, so he finally played it. Yeah, after, if you don't know what happened last stream, then you should probably watch it. Now, let's head on. Oh yeah, last time we had leaving. There was our eggs. We got pine cone, apple. Why is it one? Yo. Yeah, let's turn the speed up. Incredible. But now, let's head back. Right here and then. And that is a well. Luckily, we can just climb the roof. But now, let's head back. Oh. Before that, let's see if there's any. Nope. Bro. Yeah, not to me. I don't think we need any mods. My opinion. Since it's already a fun game already. If there's mods, you like mods and put them in, you're fine with that. Just, I'll be good. But now let's head back home and then head south. Certainly abandon these rings. Home Zone 1. Because I heard, here's the fear that people just say. You will see that Zone 2 is in the middle. Zone 1 is both under and over Zone 2, and then it's above. Then Zone 3 is above the top one and below the top. And Zone 4 is just on the both top and bottom. I heard that fear a lot. But to me, we'll test that fear yet soon. But soon, the new generation new world generation will become. Danger lurks around every corner. Oh yeah, there's. Now we got these pigs right here. And they're very. That's new. Yeah, but I feel like that here's a plan what we're gonna probably do in 17. Skelly Bones. Alright, here's a plan for what we're gonna do. We'll go ahead downtown, set up civilization, maybe near China, and then bam, have some plan. Your world was so just few more blocks away. Uh, now we have this. Yeah, Hytale build right here. Now let's hit them. Yeah, we're going to remove it. Alright. And away we go. Now I think I should remove the days of death, but I'll be fine with that. Now that now we're about to enter the danger zone. And we got 30 an hour, 35. You definitely are. Let's keep on going. If there's any, like, bears or such. For now, let's set a spawn point right here. For now, we're just gonna call it Zone 2. Home. Because oh no. Oh no, we're failing. We're gonna get it's already dangerous though. Ah! Ah! It went. Why is everything flying so dead? This is already. Kill me up here. This is all the most dangerous one I've ever witnessed. And how do we find? No. Okay, we found a turtle. Yo, what's good? Found some. And what on is that an eel? Yep, that's an eel. Oh no, jello. Made of wood. What is that? Whoa. Yep, it is not fruit. That's an eel. No, jello. Get rid of it. And we can't even use both. No, you're not. We're not running. Got gecko right here. Got hog rider. No. I'm not running. You watch all smooth, but there's already a coyote. Yeah, get. Yeah, this is already the most dangerous place. Now I see why they don't want to. So, and what will be the 100th mob on the planet? I don't know. But now we have these people. We got right. Oh, no, they don't. They don't. Now we need more to run this. Yeah, stay there. Back. There. I tried to warn him, but how are we over it? Oh, skeleton archer discovered. Yeah, that was the 100th mob. The only question is, right here. And that is now you want both. Alright. Let's not waste. Oh, that was a mistake. Yeah, we're back. Why are we going up? Going down, going up. Yeah, we are not buying that group. Yeah, we are not that. Let's. I feel like it's gonna be so dangerous. What? We gotta make this a home. We got. And I think we should. Maybe should. No, great. How are we gonna build a map? Yeah, I have a feeling that we're gonna need a bed. Yeah, because how we will find that arm? How? But if Zach Scott plays this game, I'll watch each and every one. He'll be incredible. Please, Zach Scott, I'm begging him, make a let's play. And well, we're going to second. Oh, that's work. Ah. Yeah, we're going to need to get rid of some of this stuff. Like a bed, we're going. And we got iron already. We got iron already. You know this is something special. What we have. Is this iron? Yeah, that's iron. Why do we have iron? Yeah, we know it's bad. That's bad. We need to hurry up. Yeah, let's hurry up. Because I don't want to see what happens when it's not a time. We are. I don't care how deadly or where. There you are. Well, I'm stuck. But no, we need. Yeah, what? Good. Yeah. Let's head back. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, luckily we're parkour pros. Went from camp. Got that from Cam at 18. But now I think the update says we can sleep early. Well, not early, but yeah, get out. Can't. Yeah, plant farms. Yeah, just get rid. No. 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 How's that hard? How's that hard? How's that? Oh. Yeah, I don't care. Just drop it. Oh. And let's just drop the medium block. And let's get out of here before things get bad. Run. Da-da. Or I don't. What is that? Press F to sleep. Zone 2. Part 2. Yeah. Got from so because we we're not fighting at night because we know it's bad. And we discovered new skeletons. And we discovered one of those guys were like, now, first of all, establish base. Let's establish. Good. We do not want. Now, yes, we're building a base inside this map. Yeah, let's make luckily we got a base established. But now what's going to be the base? Because now we need crafting. Let's grab a furnace from here. Let's grab a furnace from here. Oh, we get. Yo, watch this. Watch this. Let's do some troll. Let's do this. Yep. Oh. Yeah, we read. Now what food today? Yeah, no. Ah. Yeah, they can't even let you play sand. Well, anyways. Alright, if I just mine it from here. Yeah, it'll work. But not so let's just bear this spot. But now let's get some more. Because iron. Oh, I need iron. And itself. More iron could be. Yeah, I was saying, it was about to be but no, it's not. Anyone? Oh wait, I turned off comments. Sorry, not turn up, but yeah, put comments over. And right now, I could not see any comments. Well, let's see what. We'll explore that later, but not now. Everything wants to take us down. Everything wants to take us down. And I say, just keep building. Yeah, we got. For now, we got stateside. Hopefully. Perfect charcoal. Smoke that. Get food. Now, we got tier 2 now. We got. Alright. I feel like we need zero logs, but we. Well, there's a zero logs right here, probably. And then, what is that? What is that? There's an oasis right here, desert right here. There's a skeleton right here. And let's see what else. There's skeleton. And a plain spot right here. Just plain. We got a slope down here. I feel like we should check one of these out. So, yeah, let's just. And a base rate. So, we'll check this out. And then. Imagine we just... Yep, you're trapped. But, you know, let's make something like that right here. And we're exactly on an ocean. But the only question is, how do we build boats? Restore 100 batteries. What? We're heading back to the gym. I think that's... I feel like that will be important soon. I have a big field this week. Oh! Don't eat these. You like eating mushrooms? Don't eat these. But that was kind of too obvious, but it was too. No. Yo, what's good, big guy? Yeah, they look like they are cool. That one looks like they are cool. Yo, what's good? But yeah, we gotta go back. We got there. Yo, it's a lead. Not a lead. Oh no, those were the bears. They're worse than the bears. Get me in. And luckily, I haven't explored Zone 4 yet. Or Zone 3. Which we're going to explore soon. And also, I heard Zone 3 is kind of the reason why Zone 4 is so much. And the caves. But soon I think we're going to get 60 soon. Wait, let me see. Yeah, this Man of that is already terrifying. We got little monster. No mythos. Yeah. 16 out of 52 are not there. Bird skeleton Imperium. And now bears are getting stable. Now, let's and now I think we're ready for some builds. Immediately, we're making doors. We're also going to patch up the rest of the holes. Yep. So that we don't get scared or no one jumps up from us. Something like that. Now, now let's check. But now, we got two more left. Just like that. The mage. It kind of is. It's not much, but it'll do. It'll do for now. Since we do not have the spire in oh yeah, we also probably need some chests as well. Yeah, this is all the stuff we got. Alright, switch here. Now we're getting more wood. Before that, we just need. Yeah, let's see. We just make something like this right here. Yeah, they're probably not going up. But I see. We need more iron. And we need. And I wonder if we don't need bow, but we need more parakeets. Because we got 2 left, and we gotta use it on our 2 weapons. And pickaxe too. And we need light left. Yep, perfect. If you want to trick how simple, yeah. There has to be. Now what is maybe yes. Well, I don't know. Probably just dagger. We just need iron, light level. It's convenient. And for the armor. Okay, we need this. So yeah. Is that a bug? For now, 40. It's been out. Our top priority. Let's find some lever. Like, and I know a way we can get a lot of lever. Easy. We need a farms. We need a workbench right here. Farms. But now, let's get some. Let's get some more light. And the only tree plant fiber we can get is from. The only fiber we can get is from red trees. Maybe we got some trees down. Then we'll probably get some more trees. We're definitely going to need some iron. Level up our bench. Hey, good night, y'all. But I feel like 7:30 is a little. Hear me out. 7:30 is too early. Too early. Yeah. I don't care. Some people sleep like that, but 7:30 is too early. Now, let's find. Let's craft ourselves. Yeah. Coconuts. Can we cook them? Or nah. Keep it. Yeah, sorry. I don't know how. I don't know. And is that? Yeah. Yep, that's a vulture. No. Yep. Yep, that's a bulge. Dark feathers or dark feathers. Oh. Yeah, what is that? Yeah, give it the chicks. Alright, but now let's find plant fiber. Then, yeah. Yeah, the job was done. It needed it. But I bet copper is kind of good. But now we need, like, there's good ways we can catch them. Making a farmer's work. Let's capture any animal. Let's find it. Weird. Yeah, we got the lead. Yeah, I can't pull. I can't. Let's see if we can use it on the tire. You'll be fine. No! No. It does not work on tires. Do not. But that's where the zero locks are. So let's head. San Diego. And Vince. There's Vince in a time. Come on, get my book. No. This is not. Doesn't work on y'all. Doesn't work on you. No. No. We can't take out the Nah. Oh, can't, no. We're not. I can't. Give me here. Get. No. Yeah, we're still surviving though. Yeah, I don't think we need. I'm not. No, can't try. Big. Wait a minute, is that the? Yeah, I thought we were going to deal with those cast things. Surprise attacking us. Yeah, bluntly. Now. Here we are. Here is the view. And we do got. Yeah, we got 30 minutes. We can do it. Yeah, let's. Oh no. might actually start farming because now we got farm. Hopefully the farm will be good. And we gotta get 200. Okay. We need, here's what we're going to do. We don't need buckets anymore. I think buckets has served its purpose. So goodbye, bucket. And now, well there, big. We're gonna call him Pig. Yep, he's our pet right now. At least we don't, we also probably will need a kitchen, so let's find. Maybe we might. Yeah, we're going to make another. Yeah, you're going to react to the WICSO episode 2. And we'll see how this African war will end. Or if it just turns into a bigger war. Which I'm hoping it's probably. Imagine they just try to set it up and it failed. But at least we need a chair so to call home. Just at least a chair so that we can sit. Because it's not the same without chairs. And I think we do need bows. We need bows to take these guys. Even if we were not too good at bows, we just need them. Well, might also have to betray the note in front of the people, small people. Yeah, we might need onion. Yeah, these might be meal. Let's do it. Let's go. Now, let's... Yeah, they're on. Yeah. For now, we gotta have to break out. Otherwise, this might take after WICSO. So yeah, we're just... Yeah, There's that prayer. We definitely have you most of it. Boy taking prawns, reptiles, scarabs. Still scared those. Now, that's it.
Jalomski.
Because our goal here is to get max armor, weapons, and then just collect every single one. Yeah, let me just check. Why? And I think if we can't find any fibers or levers, then we might as well just head to zone, head back. But right now, I feel good. We got pepper here. Onions get cooked, right? Cooked. Oh yeah, bro. We get what's the difference between cooked beef and get pork that's not? Should we look at night? Just check something. Yeah, let me just get torches. Five, four, three, two, one. No deal. Good night, y'all. But now, it's a brand new day. Let's try to find some more. They had to be border guards. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get some. I am sorry. Red mushroom underground since it's going to probably take fusion Minecraft. Well, welcome back, Sibling. And now let's find some weapons. Yeah, we kind of. Now we're gonna need. Uh, now. Let's try hold X. Which is well, so part 2 was obstructed. Now we got, we're back up, kind of. And we died. By accident, we fell. Yes, they do. They do. Now, yeah, double shots. Let's check on the queen. Now, what do we got? And up, yeah. Going up, going up. Going up. Lawyer. Why don't you leave? Like him. Let's go. Lawyer. Who are these? Oh, Alright, everyone. Now, now. I'm not going to start here, just. We got one question. Alright, should. Yo, what's good? Sorry about that, Nand. Sorry about that, Nandem. I could not find the chat. Couldn't see y'all in chat, but I would. I think it's also the mic, but once I figure out the volumes, I think it'll be good. Yep. What's good? But should we? Let's start a poll. Should we take down the Quebec village? I know it'll be mean, but start poll. Should we take down the Quebec village? Should we? Y'all can say yes, no. We could just say we could leave. Yeah, but anyway, we'll do it. Start poll. Should we take down the Quebec village? And it's also we got 15 minutes left, so y'all can say yes, no. I'm gonna end this poll at. We can just say we can leave. Yeah, but anyway, we'll do it. Oh yeah, no. Start poll. Oh, you can crouch while I want. Should we take down the Quebec village? We could just crouch while running. Alright. So, can we do that? Oh, we can. We can. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's see what the poll says. They said nothing yet. You know what? I'm going to keep this up here for y'all, but in case we'll do it next for you. But for now, we'll just stop here. And we'll use the rest of this time to customize our avatar. Let it just. Let's just see what could best fit us. Like that. Right here. We are a little like, not like, nope, not like that. I think, no, not like Alright. Alright. Also, I'm sorry for the volume low. I cannot figure out how to do that. But anyways, let's just wait 30 minutes. Oh yeah, this guy's birthday stream, of course.
Sure.
But, whoa. That's real. So, Hytale. Guess we'll hold off on the end update so we don't hinder Hytale's rise to popularity. Yeah, that is. Is it? Oh.
We got something. Canada and China. Hey, India, what happened with you? Bro, we have a serial killer on the loose.
We got while till WICSO comes out. Now let's.
Here's how the MCU has set up Doctor Doom as the new big bad of the multiverse saga. So as we all know, Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is going to be the new big bad of the MCU, and rightfully so. People have been complaining, saying there's little to no build-up with Doctor Doom. So let's backtrack and see how Marvel has been building up their new big bad for the saga. Phase 5 was more so a transition phase. Kang started Phase 5 with Quantumania, but that movie was so bad, and Marvel decided to just ditch Kang because no one was on board with him as the new big bad. And then at the end of Phase 5 is when they start building up to Doctor Doom. We see at the end of Thunderbolts that the Fantastic Four arrive to the MCU universe, and the new Avengers are the first to spot them. In the end of Fantastic Four, which is the start of Phase 6, we actually get our first look at Doctor Doom, and this is confirmed to be RDJ's version of the character, and he's with Franklin Richards with his mask off. And let's not forget, at the beginning of the movie, when Sue Storm declared world peace, everyone was in attendance except the ruler of Latveria, and Doctor Doom rules Latveria. This implies RDJ's Doctor Doom is from the Fantastic Four universe, and he already has a history with the Fantastic Four. He's the only one that doesn't show up for world peace. That says a lot. And then we got the 4 Doomsday teasers, and they all do a very good job in setting up Doctor Doom as the new big bad. With the Steve Rogers teaser, you don't really see much. It's just him holding his baby and holding his Captain
this was supposed to not happen, but
Captain America suit. But let's not forget what Iron Man told Steve at the end of Endgame. When you mess with time, it tends to mess back. You'll see. Steve Rogers stayed in the past, and he created a kid that shouldn't exist. He's gonna face the consequences of creating an alternate timeline. And then we got the Thor teaser. Thor, one of the strongest characters in the MCU, is praying to his dead father Odin, begging him to give him the strength of the Allfathers to fight his next fight with Doctor Doom. This is a great way to build up Doctor Doom as this big threat. You have the literal god praying for survival. Not even Thanos did that to him, and he killed Heimdall and Loki. And then we got the X-Men teaser. The X-Mansion looks destroyed and abandoned. Professor X and Magneto look like they're about to die and are just accepting it. And Cyclops looks like he's the last one standing and he's just going crazy. Doctor Doom is gonna murk this whole team, just watch. And then we got the Wakanda and Fantastic Four teaser saying stuff like the Wakandans are prepared to die and head to the afterlife. Talokan is all dry, where's the water? And then we see the Fantastic Four interact with the Wakandans. It leaves a sense of mystery on what Doom is gonna do, because he's got the Wakandans prepared to die. So while the build-up with Doom isn't as good as the build-up with Thanos, I think Marvel did enough setups to get me on board. We only get Doctor Doom backshots and he already sounds more terrifying than Thanos. And the setup with Doom is way better than the setup with Kang. He had a great start in Loki, but Quantumania ruined the momentum. Are you excited to see Doom? Here's
Yep, I'm excited for it. No, 9 minutes left. 9 minutes left. Now
Let's revisit the crazy story and how Sony took Spider-Man out of the MCU, and thanks to Tom Holland, they put him back in. After the release of Spider-Man Far From Home, Disney was trying to rework their contract with Sony to try and get a 50-50 deal on the Spider-Man character. Unfortunately, that deal fell flat and Sony took Spider-Man out of the MCU. This was every Spider-Man fan's darkest hour, and it was even worse for Tom Holland. Because at the time he was promoting Disney's upcoming movie Onward, and he was not allowed to answer any questions regarding Marvel or Spider-Man. And he was not allowed to take pictures with any of the Marvel cast members except Chris Pratt, obviously. Tom later on emailed Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, to try to work a deal to get Spider-Man back in the MCU, but Bob didn't answer for a bit. Eventually, Iger did call back Tom Holland, but when Tom answered, he was drunk and crying on the phone. And by some miracle, that phone call convinced Bob to make a new deal with Sony, and Sony put Spider-Man back in the MCU like he never left. And it's all thanks to a very drunk Tom Holland. And they say drinking is never the
Yep, that's one time.
answer. Let's revisit
Outlanders.
You gotta kill Outlanders. That's the play. Oh, they're pissed. They're pissed. They're pissed. Oh, they're mad. They're mad. They're mad. They're mad. They're really mad. Oh, I'm so cooked. I'm cooked, boys. I'm not cooked anymore. Got him.
Don't ever bring iron to a winter land.
Woo.
Now 7 minutes left. What do we do with 7 minutes left? Two Dick score notifications. Which, let's see, Hytale announcements. Yep, same thing as you. 9 minutes left. I swear, if there was 5 minutes, on this video, I'm going to crash it. But now we got a while. This will be our reaction, not their reactions. But except we'll just do but for that we'll just quickly watch this video and then
It's 2026. Unreal Engine 5 is basically real life. We have ray tracing, AI-generated NPCs, and physics so realistic you can practically feel them. So why? Why in the world are 50,000 of us right now staring at a flat two-dimensional map from 2016? It doesn't make sense on a paper. You look at the most anticipated list for this year and it's all Flash. But then you look at the Steam charts and there it is. It's a 10-year-old game that just refuses to die. And I'm going to tell you something that might sound controversial, but I truly believe it. This outdated map painting simulator from 2016 isn't just surviving against 2026 heavy hitters. It is humiliating them. And today I'm going to show you exactly why. When you buy a game today, usually what you see is what you get. You play a campaign, maybe you grind a multiplayer for a month, and then you move on. That is a content cycle we're used to. But Hearts of Iron 4, it stopped being just a game a long time ago. It became a platform. I want you to think about it like this. Paradox didn't just build a house. They built the foundation. And the community built a skyscraper on top of it. If you load up the workshop right now, you aren't just getting World War II. You're getting a Fallout universe with Old War blues. You're getting a terrifying alternate history Cold War with the TNO. You're getting essentially 5 or 6 completely different AAA strategy games, all running at the same engine, all for free. That is why it feels alive in a way that the polished releases of this year just will not. While developers are abandoning their games 6 months after launch because of the live service numbers didn't hit, this game has an army of modders working for free purely out of passion, to make sure there's always something new. It's infinite. And honestly, this kind of value proposition is something that modern gaming has completely forgotten. But there is another reason. A reason that is a bit harder to admit, but we all know it's true. It's the difficulty. We live in an era where the games are terrified of frustrating you. They have yellow paint on the ledges so you know where to climb. They have auto-aim. They have tutorials that treat you like you've never held controller before. And then you have this. You boot up Hearts of Iron 4 and it slaps you in the face with logistic tabs, division templates, naval composition, and supply lines. It's overwhelming. It's brutal. And this is exactly why it is bad. When you finally understand how to encircle an army, or you finally figure out why your navy keeps sinking, you didn't just press X to win. You learned the system. You engage your brain. There is a respect for intelligence here that is completely missing from the cinematic experience of 2026. This game demands something from you. It demands your time, your patience, and your focus. And because you have to invest that effort, the payout, the satisfaction is so much higher than anything you get from the game that plays itself. And that brings us to the state of industry right now. Look, I'm not trying to be pessimist here, but let's be real. When you pre-order a strategy game in 2026, what are you actually buying? You're buying a promise. You are buying a roadmap. You're paying $70 to be a beta tester for the game that might be good in 2 years. Hearts of Iron 4 is opposite of that. It is dense. It is heavy. It has 10 years of DLCs, updates, and patches layered on top of each other. Is it perfect? No. The AI still does things that will make you throw your monitor out of the window, but it is complete. When you click play, you aren't waiting for the roadmap. You have thousands of hours of content right here staring you in your face. While everyone else is complaining about early access disasters and optimization issues on the latest releases, you are orchestrating the largest naval invasion in history at 3 a.m. And the contrast is just staggering. And I think this is why we stick around. It's a return on investment. Not just money, but your brain power. If you spend 50 hours in a generic AAA action game, what do you have to show for it? Maybe some achievements, a cool skin. If you spend 50 hours in Hearts of Iron 4, you have learned world geography better than most high school students. You understand supply lines. You understand industrial capacity. You understand why history happened the way it did. This game doesn't just entertain you, it changes how you look at the world. And in the market flooded with content that is designed to be consumed and forgotten in a weekend, this kind of depth is priceless. So here we are at the conclusion. This year is going to be full of shiny new toys. We're going to see amazing graphics and marketing campaigns that cost more than GDPs of the small country. But if you're tired of a hype cycle, if you're tired of the games that hold your hand and treat you like a
now let me be right back. We got it's now 12 p.m.
Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
A man who works hard, sweats hard. Old Spice swagger fights sweat, so coach thought I was slacking. So I trained with my Old Spice, and I became the best player ever. Sometimes, a man must overcompensate.
Based off the information we have gathered, you and your group are the ones in possession of that contraption, correct?
That may be true. Why?
May we examine it? The art of time travel is completely lost to our people.
It's lost for us as well. We are using it for a different purpose.
And that purpose is?
None of your business. I will do what is best for my people, the true people of Earth.
You know, we're the original people, right? You second kin are so full of yourselves. Fine, keep the contraption for yourself. But just know this, William Rossrock. I will also do what is best for my people, the true people of Earth.
My fellow rep members, the Rapid Human Evolution Project is nearly complete. We do not have a date in mind, but expect completion soon.
The Ultralights are different than we expected. They don't seem hostile.
For now, but the prophecy must be followed. It's all we have. We must prevail as the dominant humanity.
And if using the machine goes wrong, what happens? It's extremely dangerous. How do we know it will work?
We don't. The instructions left with the Singularity Testament are vague and hard to translate. Once again, though, it's all we have.
The destruction of the assembly has bought us plentiful time. They're not even looking for us anymore. We have as much time as possible to get this right.
Indeed, but the day of reckoning is upon us, my fellow patriots. We must be prepared.
Episode 98. Split.
The actions of the Vice Commander are unforgivable. We've now lost all trust from the Second King because he decided to defy my orders. Now we'll never be able to live outside these ancient continents. There won't be enough room for our population. What is he thinking?
I'm not sure, sir. Attacking a second kin nation makes no sense if we want to pursue peaceful assimilation.
That will never happen now. We must think of something else that involves peaceful coexistence between our populations before the Empire reaches Earth. We already have limited time, but his reckless actions may have doomed us completely.
Our best minds will think of something. Our forces were able to stall the advance of the Empire, buying us more time before they reach us here.
What should we do? Earth is the only planet that is suitable for us. We don't have time to terraform any other planets in this system.
But sir, what about the moon? We can use water from Earth to help. It shouldn't take too long.
Possibly, if the Second Kin even allow us to take that much water.
Well, sir, they can't stop us if we do.
Soldier, we are trying to build trust with the Second Kin, not betray them. We must act accordingly to their laws.
I understand, sir.
You are dismissed.
Men, the Alternites' actions in Africa reaffirm our commitment to our cause. They cannot be trusted. Rapid evolution of the human race is needed to fight back.
But William, even if we evolve a human population on Earth, how will we fight back against their superior technology?
I'm not sure. We must utilize what we have. Perhaps our technicians could find a way to reverse engineer their weaponry?
That is possible, but we're so busy working on the machine. Those resources become from a meteor unlike any other elements we've seen on Earth. They're hard to use.
On top of that, the Alternites are being extremely careful to collect all the equipment from their casualties in Africa. Asmara hasn't been able to recover a single thing.
Asmara is also being destroyed by the Alternites. They've lost thousands already. Only a few hundred Alternites have been killed in comparison.
With the evolution of humanity, those numbers would be a lot more similar. Yes, but we are still at a disadvantage.
Give it time, gentlemen. If all goes right and we utilize the prophecy as suggested, we should be able to expel this alien force from Earth.
And if more Alternites come to Earth?
We fight.
So today we're going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 98 of the series, and in the previous episode we saw a ton of world-changing events happening, such as the Alternites beginning to colonize various different continents that they had resurrected. We saw a few anarchist territories get taken over by countries such as America, the Gold Team, and the Dutch Republic. We also got a little bit of lore about the Alternites in the cinematics, and also you saw a little bit of that in today's cinematic. But the main thing that we saw happen in the previous episode was the large-scale war that broke out in Africa. This is the Great African War between the pro-Unitarians and the anti-Unitarians, aka the Sovereigners. This all happened after Tanzania staged a false flag operation at the very south of this lake over here. A lot of the assembly nations in Africa came to the aid of Tanzania, while a lot of the NWO, and also notably some of the neutral countries, came to the aid of the Unitarians. A worldwide conflict was avoided, however, there has been a little bit of controversy as the Alternites have landed in Africa, which breaks the agreement they made with the Assembly of Nations. More specifically, the agreement that said the Alternites would not leave their own continents and they would not interfere with the human world. But if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. As always, all the support is greatly appreciated. Make sure to check out the channel memberships, link down in the description below, as well as the Discord server. And let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. Now, I'm going to do a quick little recap of the cinematics because I haven't done this before and I feel like I could help clear some things up if they weren't clear already. So basically, the Alternite leader in the cinematic was angry because his vice commander defied his orders and made an invasion of the green team down here in Africa. This was not by the orders of the Alternate leader, this was by the orders of the vice commander, who once again defies his orders and essentially breaks away from the chain of command. The Alternate leader stresses that this ruins his plan and now they have to think of something else, all while being cautious of this entity which hasn't really been talked about much, the Empire. All that is confirmed is that the Alternites are fighting the Empire and are rapidly losing. Now, as for the REP meeting, which is once again the secret organization known as the Rapid Human Evolution Project, William Rothrock, who was the elite from America during World War V, and the rest of his group are now reaffirming that the Alternites are the hostile threat that the Singularity Testament, remember the thing they found at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, right around over here where this island is. If you remember episode 90 when Zhang had the meeting with the Assembly, he said that there was this outside threat that the Singularity Testament mentioned. The rep group formed to find a solution to dealing with that. They know they're overwhelmed, they know that they're at a technological disadvantage, so they are charged with finding a way around it. Now they're secret, most of them are outlawed because remember Rothrock is wanted by the Assembly, and notably they have a lot of talk about a machine. And if you remember the name of the group, the Rapid Human Evolution Project, you might be able to put two and two together. Anyway though, enough talking about the lore, let's get back into the Great War of Africa. So coming down over here to the Alternate front in the green team over here. Now it is important to note that this country is fighting alongside the anti-Unitarians, but that likely has nothing to do with the motives of the Alternites, who will now enter into the capital city of the green team and take it with relative ease. Now, they are actually moving at this speed. No, not really, that's really fast, but they're moving very quickly. As said in the cinematic, thousands upon thousands of casualties have been reported for the green team. However, only hundreds have been recorded for the Alternites, which really shows the superior technology that the aliens have over the people of the WICSO world. Also, this nation, the green team, is called Asmara. It's like one of the only countries in the series that have an official fictional name that isn't basic like Farmers Republic or Mesopotamia. But no matter, the Alternites will completely take over the nation of Asmara. This happens extremely quickly. This is undoubtedly the quickest invasion that the Earth has ever seen. That includes spanning from Alternate Future Season 1. This happened extremely fast. And because it happened so fast, the world is going to be sent into even further chaos and panic. Remember, everyone is already uneased, everyone is already in complete turmoil, everyone feels like the world is falling apart, you know, all the anarchist states formed. But now that the Alternites have attacked the nation of Earth without any reason, things are getting a lot worse. So much so that the governments of various countries, and it is a majority of countries, are starting to act very strange, very aggressive, like I said in the previous episode, and also getting pretty dangerous. It's very sporadic, very messy, and it's going to lead to some pretty bad decisions. But for now, we're going to finish up the war in Africa, and we'll start down here in Tanzania as the Unitarians take two major cities and begin to approach the capital city of Tanzania. Now, the African Unitarians have begun to shift the tide of the war in their favor as they go ahead and reconnect up with this major city that had previously been encircled and are able to push Tanzania all the way back. This now means that Tanzania has no fronts that are invading into the Unitarian country, which is really not ideal at this stage in the war, because as the clock ticks, African Unitaria gains more and more strength. The government has employed some very effective propaganda that states that it was actually the Unitarians that were attacked in a false flag operation. Now, that is the truth. That is actually what happened. But you have to remember that the Assembly of Nations, which was the OG international order, doesn't exactly believe it, while the New World Order nations, the ones that are aligned with the Unitarians, are starting to get there. They are starting to believe that this indeed could have been a false flag operation carried out by Tanzania to make their organization, the NWO, look bad, or more so maybe the Unitarians. But it doesn't matter. Most of the world is staying neutral in this conflict, and really it's only being fought between African nations. The African Unitarians will go ahead and surround the capital/metropolitan area of Tanzania, cutting off all of the other major cities up north from them. While over here in the upper areas of Tanzania, they'll carry out a wide sweeping offensive. Now, they're probably isn't too much population here, but the Unitarians will begin to move out and secure any important areas or outposts they deem necessary for winning the war against Tanzania. They're also notably going to start a very crucial offensive up the coast of this lake here, in which is very successful, cutting Tanzania off from its axis and further secluding it, which further harms it. As you can see, Tanzania has all of a sudden begun to lose very greatly. But shifting our focus up north now to Libya, they are destroying the blue team in Central Africa, who was never really a strong nation to begin with. Notably, we now see brown team forces cross over into this light blue country here. They don't go super far, but they do have the overall advantage, which is kind of alarming for the Unitarian squad. This is a very important country in the front line, and if it were to fall, bad things would begin to happen. So the Unitarians back down south will begin to speed up their invasion of Tanzania. It gets a little bit sloppy and they lose way more resources and troops than they originally needed to, but they have to start to send forces up north to help out their allies, who are beginning to falter at the might of Libya, but also the Orange Team. They are probably just as strong as Libya, maybe a little bit stronger because the Libyan government is on the newer side. I'm not too sure. I want to say that Libya is stronger, but I definitely see a world where the Orange Team could be. Anyway, the capital area around Tanzania is being heavily bombed by the Unitarians. This isn't really to go with their policy. You know, they're usually very pro-civilian, only targeting military forces. However, the urgency of this war is making them do some things that a lot of normal countries would do. Now, this isn't like a bad thing. Like, you know, other countries do this all the time. The Unitarians try to refrain from doing it, though. It's just that, you know, maybe in some desperate times you have to go ahead and do what you gotta do. Anyway, the capital city of Tanzania is eventually taken by Unitarian forces, and Tanzania's plan of staging a false flag operation to make the Unitarians look like an evil organization is partly successful, but also partly a failure. Successful because the Assembly of Nations believes that they were attacked by the Unitarians, which is going to harm their reputation, but also a failure because Tanzania is barely existing at this point. The Unitarians will go ahead and blitz up to the border of the red team up here in two areas, which will go ahead and seclude two different areas of Tanzania from the remaining areas. And after taking over a major city on the coast over here and approaching the border of the gold team, we actually see that country send their military into Tanzania, hoping to reclaim some lost lands. Now, like I said, some governments are starting to make some crazy decisions that normally they wouldn't make. The gold team is not the same gold team as they were during World War IV. It is a night and day difference. But under the current circumstances of the world, the gold team might make some different decisions than they usually would have. The whole international order, the whole, like, you know, being intelligent with what you do with your country, that has been thrown out the window. Basically, we've reverted time back to around the World War III era, where countries would just attack other countries for really no exact reason other than wanting to expand. World War V really slowed that down across the world. Countries were very logical with their decisions. However, now that the international order is gone, that isn't the case, like I said. So the gold team will go ahead and occupy these areas of Tanzania. Now, would that make the anti-Unitarian coalition mad? No, because it's a Unitarian coalition, not a coalition against the gold team. So basically, this is just a simple one-on-one conflict that has nothing to do with the rest of the war. But this will actually be a huge help for the Unitarians. Now, notably, the Ethiopians do not like the Unitarians at all. So maybe part of the reason they took over Tanzania was because they didn't want the Unitarians to border them. But nonetheless, the Unitarians are now sending their entire military up north to begin to counteract the expansion of the coalition coalition. The red team at this point is not functioning as a nation. It has completely collapsed, which means that this is just a matter of moving troops through the territory, which the Unitarians successfully do. And not long after, they will begin to send troops into the purple African country as well, starting to approach their capital city. So this has been an amazing turnaround for the Unitarians. It just took them a little bit to kind of build up their forces, build up their equipment and resources to go after all of Tanzania. Remember, they were technically attacked. They weren't expecting a full-scale continental war, so preparation took a little bit. But now moving back over to the active front line over here, the Unitarians are getting very close to meeting up with more of their forces. Now, of course, they have like their troops down here, but I'm saying that their front line is getting pretty close to the active front lines over here. Anyway, the brown team will go ahead and secure all of this land over from the blue team, who is still getting a whooping from the red team, aka Libya, who now cuts off an external area from the rest of the country. And at this point, these guys are basically about to collapse. Now, they do have 3 major cities down here, which will help them out, but they've lost their capital and a ton of other cities. But Unitarian reinforcements have reached the border over here on the brown team, and they make a small counteroffensive down here in the southernmost area. However, they struggle to hold back against the brown team's forces up in the north, who are going to go ahead and advance even deeper into teal team territory. Now, at this very point in the war, everyone is getting pretty exhausted. However, the wind has just blown into some news from the north about a certain country near Libya who might be getting involved in the conflict. That very country has begun to amass mass amounts of equipment, tanks, and all military assets on the border of Libya, which comes at a complete surprise, as this country was once seen as a close ally of the Libyan government. A nation that, in the chaos of the world, has drawn closer to Mesopotamia, a nation that for a long time was a strong, independent, sovereign country who saw through itself its own determination. That country is Egypt, who officially joins the war on the side of the Unitarians. And this action by the government of Egypt is going to have a lot of backlash amongst her people. Now, Egypt was influenced to join this war by a, certain someone over here. But also you have to remember they're allied with the Mesopotamian Unitarians, who of course are allied with the African Unitarians. And the Unitarian victory in this war, of course, will serve the interest of the Mesopotamians up here, and thus that might also serve Egypt's interests. Plus, there is land to be gotten in Libya. Now, like I said, the people of Egypt are furious with this decision. They are still close to the people of Libya because of the Libyan civil war. Egypt accepted a lot of refugees from Libya, and in that time, the two communities grew very close together. The people feel betrayed by their government, and the betrayal of the Libyan people is something that the people of Egypt will not forget. This is a foreign war that Egypt has nothing to do with. They don't have to get involved. They never would have gotten involved. And this is a former ally. Invading Libya is seen as an insane act by the government. But remember what I said earlier, the world has become insane. Nonetheless, Egypt's advance into Libya is brutal. The Libyans, who were expelling most of their military forces in the south, saw the amassment of troops on the border but thought nothing much of it. They didn't think that Egypt would stray this far away from them. In the end, responding to that and pulling more troops up was a grave mistake by this country, who is probably going through the 5 stages of grief. But war is never fair, and humanity will always find values to betray. The Egyptian military is effective at taking 5 major cities in Libya before they see any kind of counteroffensive, which does come as the Libyan forces reach up north. But those same forces are unable to advance into either of the major cities. Egypt's entire military is involved in this war, and you have to remember that Egypt doesn't border any hostile nations. Of course, they're allied with Mesopotamia, and they're allied with the blue team down here, so this territory won't, of course, attack them. And then all the different groups down here are too weak to attack Egypt, so they really only have one border to worry about, and thus they can send in their entire military. Most countries can't do that in a war. Just like how the Unitarians probably aren't doing that because they border South Africa, a very strong nation to the south, and even though they are friendly, we just saw Egypt betray Libya in a way, so you can never be too careful. But with Egypt joining the war, we have the blue team down here with mostly the help of the Mesopotamians beginning to push back against their invaders, and they begin to establish a lot of their lost land. Notably, we come down to the purple team where we see Mesopotamian forces approaching their capital city, but before they do anything else, the purple team will actually surrender over to the Unitarians. They saw Egypt join the war, they saw the giant wave of Unitarian troops, and they wanted out. They cut a deal with the Unitarians which says that they won't lose any land and will instead just have to pay for any reparations they caused. So, they're going to keep track of all the damage that this country did, and you're just going to write us a check for that. Pretty simple. The Unitarians are going to offer this deal to a lot of the other countries in Africa, and none of them are going to accept it because they want to keep fighting. But at this very point in time, the Diamond Alliance is down to its last 3 members, whereas the Pentagon Alliance still has 4 strong, 3 strong, and this guy, who is just chilling. Oh, and also, Egypt's in the Pentagon Alliance now. I didn't draw that on the map, but that should be pretty apparent. And also, it should be pretty apparent now as to why the Unitarian side is winning. The Egyptians will go ahead and capture a major city just outside the capital city, and their forces are now right here. Now, it is notable to see that the people of Libya are now extremely nationalistic to the cause of defending their country. They were betrayed by yet another country, and now they feel as if they're on their last leg, they're on their last heel, and they need to fight back with all they have. And when that's said and done, the nationalistic movement in Libya will do a ton of damage to the armies of Egypt as they now exert themselves over into the central plain area. They're unable to move north past Egyptian fortifications, but they do find weaknesses in the front line and are able to advance there. Back down south in the blue team, we see that the Unitarians and their allies are continuing to push back any Libyan forces down here that are stationed to protect. Most of them are being recalled to the north, which is leading to a massive re-liberation campaign by the Pentagon Alliance, leaving pretty much the brown team and the orange team to fight this front line over here by themselves. So far, that's been going so good. They have the advantage here even with Unitarian troops, and simply enough, it's just a matter of geography right now. The Unitarians are super far away, their forces are getting exhausted when they get to this front line, and that's leading to more casualties, whereas these guys are, of course, on the front line, which makes it a lot easier. Now, notably up here, we actually have Libya going ahead and relinquishing all control over the garrison of this country here to the brown team, so that will require them to use more military forces while freeing up some forces for Libya to use against Egypt. But the Libyans are very hesitant to pull all troops out of the blue team down here because, as you can see, the Unitarians are the main forces fighting on this front, and they are rapidly approaching Libyan territory until they stop and the Unitarians set up a defensive front. This is not a good sign, because now those troops are moving on over here towards the brown team. Egyptian forces will fight back in a counteroffensive against the Libyans, and this will go pretty well. However, they're unable to amount to the progress they made previously, which could be a troubling sign for Egypt. And at this point, a certain country in Mesopotamia will begin to send volunteer forces into Egypt. Of course, they're not joining the war. This isn't officially military troops. These are volunteer forces. This could heighten tensions across the world, but at this point, Mesopotamia is a pretty strong country. Definitely a top 15 military power. Maybe probably top 10 power as well. Definitely top 10. I don't know what I'm saying. So countries aren't really going to mess with them, per se. They won't be able to get away with everything, but they can get away with things such as sending volunteers into a foreign war. But moving back down to the front line between the brown team and the teal team, with the occurrence up here with Libya and the resurgence of the blue team, Unitarian forces, like I said, are now focusing solely on this front line, and when they get here, it begins to turn the tide of the war extremely in their favor. It's already pretty obviously going in their favor. If you can't tell already, they have a pretty good chance of winning right now. So of course, this means that they're going to have to push back against the brown team, and we now have teal team forces crossing the border and beginning to invade into the brown team, taking over a major city which previously was thought to be pretty protected, not so much anymore. And these forces will continue, now starting to formulate a bulge which will turn into a spearhead towards the capital city of the brown team. Now, it is also important to note that at this very point in time, these countries are all exhausted, every single one of them, except for Egypt, who just joined the war. The capital of Libya is taken by Egyptian forces, and after this occurs, the government goes into a complete spiral. A certain group down here is starting to talk about re-emerging. Have no fear, West Africa is here, and they carpet bomb the entire area. This is a war crime, West Africa. You can't do that. But hey, you know, world's crazy, so who cares? So yeah, no insurgency in Libya because, well, they're all burning alive. It was probably napalm. That's an even bigger war crime. You're definitely in trouble if this all pans out well. But Egypt captures all of Libya's major cities, and from here, they begin to rapidly move through the country, and really there's like not much happening here. So Libya essentially is going to just fall into guerrilla warfare in some of the most like geographically challenging areas, this big old desert over here. Egyptian forces probably aren't really moving through here, and eventually those forces are either going to run into the other countries or they will surrender, meaning that Egypt is successful in jumping Libya. Extremely unfair for Libya, who was jumped by what they thought to be a friendly nation, just a few months ago, maybe even weeks ago. But with Libya out of the war is now extremely in the favor of the Unitarians. In fact, they have a 99.9999999999999999999% chance of winning. Very, very good chance. Although I'm not good with math, so maybe it's not entirely guaranteed yet. But I mean, at this point, you know, it's basically over. The brown team is about to check out of the war, and the orange team is only here because, well, they're not being directly attacked just yet, so might as well keep fighting. But the thing that will actually officially end this war is when this anarchist group down here begins to take territory from the brown team without any resistance. Like, they're waltzing right into this country, and there's, like, very little fighting back. And the brown team at that point's like, yeah, we're just gonna do that. It's probably the smart thing to do. And after they surrender, we have the complete fall of the occupation of this country, which leaves just Orange Africa in this war, and they're like, yeah, we're good. So they will go ahead and make a deal with the Unitarians, a similar deal to what the purple team got over here. They aren't like going to be occupied. Now, I should say that this country also isn't being occupied. I just colored it in because, you know, heat of the moment, I guess. But the pro-Unitarians are successful in defeating the Southerners. The false flag operation by Tanzania failed in a physical sense. However, worldwide, the reputation of the Unitarians is a little bit harmed. So in a way, Tanzania sacrificed themselves and their allies for some animosity towards the Unitarians. Will that pay out in the end? Who knows? But we can go ahead and take a look at one of the largest peace treaties in African history, the Treaty of Crete. And looking at this treaty here, we see that there are a ton of major changes in Africa. The Diamond Alliance was not spared. They got a pretty harsh peace treaty for all of their members other than the orange team and the purple team who, like I said, got special deals since they left the war. But let's go ahead and begin to break it down, starting over here in Tanzania. This country has been pretty solid throughout history. They haven't lost a ton of land in any of their wars particularly, until now. Tanzania will lose the most land out of anyone in their alliance, and that is because this is now deemed to be a false flag operation because the victors write history, of course. But the Unitarians will take a large chunk of land, and they have begun to cement themselves as one of the largest countries in the world, and also probably one of the most powerful nations in Africa. Now, as for the gold team up here who intervened in the war for the sake of reclaiming lost land, they will be annexing this piece of land down here, which kind of, actually, I forgot a province. Sorry, Tanzania, you're losing just a little bit more land. But now, as you can see, they reform their previous borders. These guys are looking, unfortunately, very familiar. Just missing a little bit of something. Anyway, the red team here was basically just kind of like the battlegrounds of the war. They actually don't lose too much land. The Unitarians will annex a province down here, and then the purple team will annex a few provinces over here. They take 3 major cities, which is pretty detrimental for these guys. They're left pretty weak. They have to move their capital city, so that's pretty unfortunate for them. But Central to South Africa is now looking a lot more different. But going up north, there is still a lot of changes to be discussed. Starting with the brown team, who will go ahead and give up a few provinces over to the teal team. This is their spoils of the war. They also are forced to release the sand color country here, and are also forced to give them a province, which is kind of surprising considering the fact that this country did a whole bunch of nothing for their side of the war. But somehow, some way, they still get land. And then finally, the green team down here, the little anarchy group, they also get land. I don't know why they were invited to the peace treaty, but they were able to put in their demands, and they got what they wanted. Now, Orange Africa probably could have just wiped them off the map, but they didn't do that, so good for them. But now moving up for the final changes up here, we have land going to 2 countries from Libya. First of all, the blue team will get a province from them, which goes ahead and extends their border a little bit. Then we have Egypt getting a bulk of land. Now, Libya probably lost the second most land out of all the countries in this war, once again only behind Tanzania. The brown team is probably in 3rd place, and the red team in 4th. But Libya is looking very square, and I don't really like it, so I'm going to change it slightly. Shout out to the weirdest looking province ever. But these are our new borders of Africa. The false flag operation fails, and the pro-Unitarians end up getting a ton of land. But now moving up north here to the continent of Europe, we're heading on over to the Dutch Republic here, who is now executing a policy that is named the survival of our nation, in quotes. That sounds like a very sane policy that surely isn't restrictive of human rights and might even, you know, kind of shake up the balance of Europe a little bit, right? No, that's exactly what it is. It's going to do all of those things. The Dutch Republic is one of the countries that is having a lot of panic from their population within, and in order to counteract that, the government goes ahead and enforces restrictions. We're talking curfews. We're talking, like, you're not allowed to gather in large groups because that's kind of risky of rebellion. There's a heavy police presence, a slight military presence in some of the more major cities, including the capital city, and most notably, their border with the Alternites is the most fortified border in the world. That thing is deadly. You are not getting across it. The Alternites would have trouble getting across it, but they still would because they're the Alternites. Doesn't matter though, the Dutch is going into full lockdown mode. And part of that policy, the survival of our nation policy, involves making sure that, well, the country is big, expansionist. It's you see, they kind of threw in a little bit of some secret sauce in there. They were cooking up some, what's a good Dutch dish? I'm not really sure what kind of food they eat in the Netherlands. So they were making some plant, some 50% seaweed stuff, and they threw in a little bit of crack in there. Candy crack. Like sugar, not the bad kind. And with that, some very angry politicians who like land got their way, and the Survival of Our Nation bill is also kind of a ploy to take over a lot of land in Europe. Basically, the democratic government of the Dutch team goes ahead and greenlights a bill that will allow for the expansion of their territory. They're fine with it, and that's because everyone is going a little bit loco right now. The government is very panicked, and they just want to make sure they're as strong as possible. And with that, they go ahead and send troops straight into Switzerland, and they don't really fight a war here, they just kind of occupy it, kind of like how Germany did Austria in World War II. They just march in and take it because, I mean, Switzerland isn't going to fight back. And that nation will simply cease to exist. It's no longer here, and it is now a part of the Dutch Republic. Notably, that gives them a border with Rome. Very interesting. We're going to have to be watching the Dutch Republic here. They will probably be making more moves in the future, but for now, we're zooming out, and let's talk about the alternate civilizations in both Atlantis, Mauritius, and Zealandia, and also up here in Doggerland. Don't forget about Doggerland, they're still here. I know that this is like an extremely small piece of land. You might even wonder, like, why was it even resurrected? Listen, it'll make sense soon. The Alternites need land. But what we have happening here is the continued expansion of Alternite civilization on Atlantis. Now, I do want to go ahead and say that I'm going to go back on my word. Originally, I had planned to have just multiple states that were all part of the Alternite Empire. But I decided that that might be confusing for some people, and instead we're just going to have one continuous color for the entire civilization on each continent. So even though that each continent is a different color from one another, they are still controlled by the Alternites. And the whole thing that I said previously about there being different states, that is no longer true. It's just going to be one continuous color. But as you can see, Alternite civilization is becoming very, very large and expansive, especially as more Alternites begin to make the trip to Earth. And the WICSO world has begun to notice that there are a lot of Alternites coming to Earth. You know, before it was like maybe a few hundred every day. Now it's a few thousand every day. And as time goes on, that number continues to go up, and their civilizations are quickly reaching to the tens of thousands in terms of population. And Atlantis is the first continent to reach a population of 100,000. Now you might be wondering, how do the Alternites already have developments for 100,000 people? They haven't been here that long. The technology, simple as that. They're able to construct buildings very quickly. I'm talking like an apartment complex in a matter of like 5 days. The Alternites are extremely technologically advanced, and that technology is also being shared with the WICSO world. All of the Alternite technology is being shared with them other than their weaponry, other than their military tech. That's the only thing that the WICSO world doesn't have at this point. So you have to really think about this. All of these countries, which might be poor and underdeveloped, are having access to this technology that you can, build entire complexes in 5 days. That is huge. It's going to solve homelessness in the WICSO world, essentially. Now, it's probably going to be pretty expensive for these countries to get this stuff because they do have to buy it off of the Alternites. They are, unfortunately, capitalist still. But maybe they gave it to countries for free. Like, for example, they gave it to West Africa for free because of the damage they caused. Up for debate. Anyway, over to Doggerland. This will be the first continent/area of land to be completely filled in by the Alternites, as they now border the Red Team and Denmark over here. Doing a quick little major city update, there is now 3 up here in Doggerland. And over in Atlantis, they have begun to sprout out in very many areas, more specifically inland, but now they've added around 2 or 3. Now, I do want to say that the major cities, they aren't like comparable to the WICSO major cities because these are cities that have been developing for very many years. Whereas these ones have been developing for a very small amount of time, meaning that their major cities are likely what we would call like towns or small settlements. But in retrospect to the nation itself, they are the major cities because they are the largest cities within this country so far. Now heading on over to Mauritius, this is another major continent for the Alternites. Like I said before, it is Atlantis and it is Mauritius. That's where a majority of the Alternites will be going. Doggerland and Zealandia are still major destinations for the Alternites, of course, because they can only go to the 4 continents. But they aren't as major as Mauritius and Atlantis. These are the largest continents. And the Alternites are filling it in very quickly, arguably maybe even quicker than Atlantis. After it's all said and done, Mauritius will be filled in looking something like this, and if we zoom out a little bit more, we can see just how filled in both Atlantis, Mauritius, and Doggerland have become so far. As for the major cities, only 3 more will be declared, 1 up here, 1 right here, and then 1 down here in the center area. None of them are coastal, notably, but still these are major settlements. And now finally heading on over to Zealandia, this will be pretty similar to Doggerland in regard to how quickly the Alternites will go ahead and fill it in. They get all of the north filled in, while so far not touching the south, until very interestingly, they begin to emerge from the Australian territory. They don't go super far into the south just yet, as they are more focused on the north, but they fill in a pretty good portion of the southern portion, a good bit of South Zealandia, and this is what the entire continent is looking like as of now. 2 major cities will be built here, and the Alternites are almost done expanding. Also, 2 things real quick. First of all, the capital of the Alternites on Earth is in Atlantis. This is where the Alternite Earth government is right here. This is also where their leader is currently, no longer in space, chilling on Earth. The second thing is what happened to West Africa. I never mentioned it. Well, simply enough, the Alternites have taken complete control over it, and the WICSO world isn't going to respond because what can they do? They have all the technology other than military technology, and if you paid attention to the cinematic, you would have heard that the elites said that they've been unable to, capture any of the technology from the front lines over here because the Alternites have done such a good job at recovering it, making sure that intentionally the WICSO world is unable to get their military tech. If they did get it, they'd be able to fight back, and the Alternites don't really want that to happen because if that happens, then they might be kicked off of Earth, and that would not be good for them, to say the least. Now, it will be extremely hard to keep it from them forever, and there is a chance that they're going to get some low-tier tech equipment, but what really matters is the high-tier tech equipment, like, their futuristic tanks, their hovercraft things that blow up entire buildings at once. That's what the WICSO world wants. They're not too worried about the guns because bullets still kill Alternites. They're not like invincible. They're not lead-proof. A bullet to the head will still kill them. But a laser shot to the chest will disintegrate an entire human from the WICSO world, so they might want to get that smaller tech under control as well. Maybe try to find a way to prevent that from happening because that hurts. But now zooming out for a second, we need to talk about the Planetary Defensive Treaty Organization. As you guys have probably noticed, this hasn't been mentioned since the Alternites showed back up. And the purpose of this thing was to stop the Alternites from invading Earth. Now, it was a little unexpected when it happened. They didn't invade Earth. In fact, they came in peace and offered their condolences to the WICSO world, which kind of defeated the purpose of this thing. They laid down their arms, and after that, of course, the assembly split up, the New World Order formed, and with that, the PDTO completely collapsed. Like, even the members of the assembly left it. It's no longer there. It doesn't function. But in its absence, members of both the NWO and the AN have proposed a similar alliance in their own respective orders, which are aimed at defending themselves against the Alternites should a threat appear. And the way they do this is going to be very interesting. If you're a member of the AN or if you're a member of the NWO, you're automatically in the new PDTO. You don't have a choice. If you're going to be in the organization, you have to go ahead and make a budget that is specifically meant for the defense of the entire planet. It's going to be expensive, but if you want to be in this international organization, you need to contribute, and you need to understand that this could still be a threat, even though it appears friendly. They did just take out a country in Africa, which is going to go ahead and give a lot of people doubt. And with all that doubt, there just needs to be a way to reassure the people of the world that the militaries can still function together. And so there's one in the NWO and there's one in the Assembly of Nations. Interestingly enough, they sometimes hold joint drills together. So even through all this chaos and through the division of the NWO and the AN, they still recognize that they are both of the same species and that the aliens still pose the largest threat to either organization. So they hold joint drills together. These aren't like friendly drills, they're probably war games, good practice on one another should a war break out between the two organizations. But it shows that there is still unity in the world even through these chaotic times. But now we're moving down to one of the last completely anarchist territories in the world. We're moving on to Red Australia. Well, I might have just spoiled it, but we're moving on over to the Yellow Papa country, who is still in complete anarchy. There has been no consolidation of groups here, and it is probably one of the worst off places in the world. Remember, these guys just got their independence not too long ago, and before that they were a nation for a very long time, but the constant in and out of existence on top of the Alternites coming back, the flooding, and now the complete collapse, there is no governance in this nation, and the people here are refusing to be governed. It is like basically primitive humanity over here, except they're all smart and they're very aware of what's happening. Dangerous stuff. Really dangerous stuff. A lot of people are dying. So in a very, very weird turn of events, the Australians and the Unitarians make a deal to work together to occupy and annex this thing into their own territories. Yeah, they're enemies. They don't like each other at all, but they recognize that this is getting pretty damn bad and we need to do something about it before a lot of people start dying. So they draw up a treaty which will divide up the Illapapa country between their two nations, and they also agree to work together to bring about order to this island. Once again, this showcases that despite the world being in complete chaos, unity can still be achieved, even between some of the most unfriendly nations. There's always balance in the world, and it's no different here, but the Australians will get the eastern half, and the Unitarians will get the western half. This will be a very interesting experiment to see which side does better under whichever country. Like if the fascist side prospers and the Unitarian side doesn't, that's probably going to be really alarming for the Unitarians, because fascism working instead of Unitarianism, that's concerning. Everyone would assume that it would work better here, which is probably what's going to happen, but you never know. And yes, Australia still is fully fascist. The only fascist country in the world, the most far-right country in the world, and they're still kicking, so props for them. I mean, it's not really a good ideology, but whatever. We're not here to have that debate, we're here to WICSO it. But now moving on back over to Europe, we're going to the Dutch team, who probably is definitely expanding again. And now they're attacking yet another Assembly of Nations country. First of all, Switzerland was in the AN. That didn't sit too well with countries like Ireland, nor West Africa, so, you know, the Dutch Republic's kind of being looked at a little bit weird here. But they still want to reinforce their status as an assembly nation, even though we're attacking members of our own kin. We don't care. Let's get crazy. Let's invade the light blue team. And this will do two things. It will make Europe even more mad, and it's also going to make Rome mad, because Rome wanted this land for themselves. Speaking of Rome, here they come. They take over the capital city of the light blue team. And Dutch and Roman forces will meet in this major city here, wiping out the light blue team and also having a little bit of a brief standoff. The Dutch and the Romans still don't like each other, even though they fought on the same side recently, I think. If they didn't fight on the same side, then they were going to at one point, and I ended up scrapping the idea. But I think they did, maybe? I'm not too sure. I think, when they jumped Germany, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The blue team is now completely occupied by both the Romans and the Dutch. Let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. And in this treaty here, we see that the light blue team will be evenly split between the Dutch and the Romans. Both countries are relatively happy with the outcome of this war, however, are not happy to be sharing a longer border now, but I really highly doubt anything will happen, because if they do go to war, that risks a war between the stars and the gears, and, well, that's not needed right now with the Alternites here. The world wants to avoid a world war at all costs because they know it would make them vulnerable, and if the Alternites have ulterior motives, that would mean that, you know, they have a good time to attack and destroy humanity. So yeah, guys, please don't start World War VI. But now we're going to head down to some of the anarchist territories in the world, and more specifically, we're heading on over to Sudan, where these groups have made some considerable progress in unifying the former claims of this country. And the most notably, the one that claims to be the true government of Sudan has taken over the most land. Now, unfortunately, they're not all gains, as this group here lost complete control over their territory and fall right back into anarchy, and the Red Nation over here lost considerable control of their land, which might have something to do with the war that was just fought right next to them. Some countries, like the Lime team up here, split into two different sections, while other countries, like the light blue team up here, were invaded by another group, this time being the Dark Cyan team. On top of that, however, this country has expanded to reach along the border of Egypt a lot further. The Lime team has also filled in a lot of land along the border of this gray country. The Green team has filled in considerable land as well, getting very close to the Pink team over here and bordering them. And even the Pink team itself, which is relatively new, has taken some land from the unoccupied territories in Sudan. So there's been a lot of growth, especially on the north near the border of Egypt, which might highlight that Egypt is helping out these groups and setting up their governments, while the center area has remained relatively unclaimed. Now, in the coming days, what claims to be the true government of Sudan will make some pretty extravagant advances across this territory, aiming to capture this major city, which they do, and also meeting their border with some other nations to possibly establish relations and talking about forming a united Sudanese government. Now, these groups are probably still anarchist and probably don't want to do that, whereas this group is actually becoming a nation of its own. This is essentially the new version of Sudan. It has a government and is beginning to function as one, although in the very early stages of such. Over to Bangladesh, we see some very unique things happening here. We don't see any countries collapse. We don't see any groups take over other groups. Instead, what we see is this kind of working together of the different groups here. They have made their way completely out of anarchy and have begun to work together as kind of like a community of nations, which defies a lot of expectations worldwide, especially in a nation like Bangladesh, which has a recent history of being in a lot of turmoil with their neighbors. So maybe part of the reason that they're able to stay together like this is because they've been together through that troubled history. They've stuck together. The people here are very united. And thus we see that these groups are just working together rather than opposing each other. And it's very possible that we could see a united Bangladesh reappear. The same cannot be said over in Ecuador. I did tease that the red team could just go out and take over all of these lands, and in that time, that's pretty much exactly what they've done. They've taken over both the purple country, I did forget that somehow, and the green team, and they filled in all the unoccupied land, and have even begun to take some land from the yellow team, although they haven't fully annexed it or occupied it just yet. This is, in all counts, a dictatorship. No democracy happening here. One guy got into power, and he is trying to consolidate his control over this territory. And a lot of the South American countries around it don't like it because this isn't democracy. Remember, they had a whole economic and military alliance that has kind of fell apart with the anarchy countries. But still, if he goes any further, there could be intervention. Then over here to this community in Africa, there have been no changes here, and these countries are starting to operate on their own. They're not countries just yet. I keep calling them countries or nations. That isn't true other than like in Sudan and arguably in Bangladesh. But these groups are functioning on their own. They're not worried about each other. Really right now, they're just trying to form themselves as actual nations. Now let's talk about the last completely anarchist territory remaining. Similar to the Yellow Papa country, this country has not been able to form any groups. And also similar to the yellow country, there is a lot of death happening here, and the governments of South America will make the decision to step in. More specifically, the military alliance, as well as the economic alliance, which pretty much go hand in hand at this point, will go ahead and draw up a partitioning of this territory in which the surrounding countries will take control of it and hopefully fix all the problems. Fixing anarchy is something that is very difficult to do as a government, so it's going to involve a lot of collaboration amongst the South American countries, which is very easy to do nowadays. A few years ago, during World War IV, that would have been impossible, but things have changed. South America is the most united continent. But in this partition here, we see how this country will be divided up, so the orange country will get the most of it. They take over all of this land. The red team will get one province down here, and then the brown country will get the rest. So our updated borders of South America are looking something like this, and notably the yellow team didn't get anything from this, which is going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. They feel like they should have gotten at least one province to govern over, but the decision was made to not give them any. So there might have been animosity there, but it also could have very well been unintentional, and that, it just didn't work out for the people that drew up the borders. Nonetheless though, yellow country, not happy. Alright bro, what did I say about starting World War VI? The Dutch army, which has been very active lately, is now invading Germany. The Dutch leader will come out and say immediately that this is not a full annexation war. They only want some parts of Germany. Not all of it. We just want a little tiny bit. Not all of it. We're just taking a little bit. And obviously, this is going to make the New World Order, the organization that Germany is in, very angry. Because, hey, guess what? The Dutch are in the AN. And what did we just say about World War VI? Well, we definitely don't want that to start, so go ham, Dutch people. Go ham. The international orders are too scared to act on one another, and the Dutch are going to get away with their, I don't want to call it a massacre, but their very swift taking of German land. This isn't like the war they fought not too long ago. This is a little bit different. The Dutch are a lot more powerful now, and Germany is a lot more weaker, and, as you can see, the Dutch are going to be victorious and taking what they want, which includes a lot of historic lands and also a lot of northern lands over here near Poland. At this point, the Dutch declare that they have what they want, and they will go ahead and form a peace treaty with the Germans, who will reluctantly agree to it. And they're going to go ahead and meet over here in the orange country to discuss the peace with Bulgaria. Interesting choice. But in this treaty here, the Dutch will go ahead and move their border a few, maybe 100 kilometers to the right. It's kind of hard to tell the scale of Europe, because Europe is kind of small compared to the US, where I'm from. And here, 100 kilometers is like that much, I think, ish. So this would probably be less than 100 kilometers. I don't know. You guys get the point, though. They move their border to the right. They annex all this land, including Germany's capital city, which will weaken this country even more, as they are forced to now put it over here. Now, as you can see, this has made Europe very angry. Ireland, not happy. Norway, not happy. Poland, not happy. Rome, not happy. Also, the Iberian Unitarians, not happy. The only people that are happy are Great France, because they like Germany a lot. They love Germany. I'm not sure the Dutch love them back. But yeah, the Dutch have been expanding rapidly. This has all occurred within probably a few weeks of each other, which means that this is officially an expansionist country, and countries around it aren't too happy. Rome, they got allies. Poland, they got allies. Germany, they are safe because they have a peace treaty. Norway, allies. Ireland, I don't recommend attacking Ireland. That would be a bad idea. France is friendly with the Dutch, so they're fine. Meaning that, Denmark could be in trouble. Or the Alternites, they could go gangsta with it and try to take out the Alternites. Yeah, that would probably happen. But they're gonna chill out for now. They need to take it slow, they need to take it easy, or else maybe some countries will come together and try to topple you. But on the topic of schizophrenic and very frantic governments, we're now coming over to the pink team, who is, like I said, schizophrenic and very frantic. They will pursue a pretty similar policy to the Dutch, which is survival of our nation by all means. And by all means, this means that they want to take as much land as possible from their neighbor, the cyan team, for the reason of resources. The pink team wants to hoard as much resources as possible, so if a war ever breaks out with the Alternites, they can get a huge economic boost by selling those resources to the other countries of the world. It is actually a pretty smart plan, other than the fact that you're going to have to send some people in there and have them die, and also start a pretty big war between another country that is equal in size. But there is good news for the pink team, and that is that their military is very much stronger than that of the light blue teams. This will be a pretty low difficulty war for the pink team. These guys don't have a lot going on here other than their resources, which is, once again, what the pink team is after, so they can have a resource monopoly should a worldwide conflict ever break out between the Unitarians, not the Unitarians, the Alternites, and the rest of the WICSO world. Anyway, the pink team's invasion of this country is going very well. Now, as for what's happening internally within the light blue team, there's a whole bunch of nothing, because they are one of the countries that is, like, on the verge of anarchy, not there just yet, but getting close. Their government is still in control via forceful restrictions and stuff like that, and the military forces are exhausted from doing that, and there isn't much of a motivation to stop the pink team from advancing because these guys are still pretty democratic. Maybe some people here want to be a part of this. But at the same time, there are countries that are going to be watching every single war in the world. As you can see, the pink team is a member of the NWO, and this guy is a part of the AN. AN countries tend to have each other's back, like the Sea from Green country, for example. They are going to be coming in and helping out the light blue team. Just not in the way that you thought. They're going to be sending their military in to occupy. Now, this isn't really an invasion similar to what we saw earlier. They're just kind of walking in and occupying different things. Sure, they might fight in some instances where the military is very stubborn, but for the most part, they're doing this so that there is a stronger nation in control of this territory, and more so to prevent the pink team from getting all of it, which would be very, very dangerous for the Sea from Green country. They don't want to have a country that is too strong on their border. With that being said, they do border China and Russia, so adding a third one would be very bad. Anyway, the light blue team will actually finally collapse. They fall into pretty much anarchy as their government dissipates, which is something that the Sea from Green country wanted to stop from happening when they went in. Unfortunately, though, they kind of made it worse and they served as a catalyst. Well, nonetheless, the two sides will go ahead and agree to meet for peace in the dark green country down here in Caspia. Anyway, in this peace treaty here, we see that the pink team is going to get all of the resources they wanted and a little bit more, especially population-wise, as they take over the entire western portion of this country. But also, we see the Sea from Green country take land, which is counterproductive to what their original goal was. But as it turns out, they also had some interest in this country because it's going to heavily boost their population as well. This thing is mostly cold in Siberia. However, there are areas within it where people can live, and as you can see, the land that they just took is a large part of that now. So the blue team does still exist. They're given a new government, and the Assembly of Nations comes in and helps them kind of, reinforce their stability and to beat back any anarchy. Their new capital city will be right here, very close to the capital city of the gold team, which may or may not foreshadow something. I don't know, I just make the series. But here are our new borders of Asia, and as you can see, there are a lot of countries that are becoming very large in this region. In fact, across the world entirely, there are a lot of nations becoming large, like Africa Unitaria, the pink team, Seafoam Green country, Pacifica recently. There was even expansion down here in South America that made countries larger, over in Oceania. And the country count in the world, excluding the anarchist territories, is probably the lowest it's been in a very long time. But now we're finally getting to our final event of the video, which is going to involve the Dutch once again. They can't stop putting their noses in other people's business. And what the Dutch are doing is they're attacking another nation, this time, as you guessed it, Denmark. But as you've noticed, the European countries have become very angry with the Dutch, and this move is going to come with grave consequences. The Dutch government is fully convinced that the end times are near. They feel like the world is going to end very soon. There's no evidence of that happening, by the way. It's totally not going to happen, but they feel that way, and because they feel that way, they just want to do whatever they want to do. They want resources, they want population, they want economy, they want land, and they want a stronger military to fight back against the Alternites should that time ever come. Now, the Alternites in Doggerland are the most chill people in the world. They have no grievances with the WICSO world. They are trying to be friendly with them, except everyone's scared of them and the Dutch are like frantically terrified. The warmest country to them is actually Denmark. And, well, they're being invaded right now. So, in turn, this could make the Alternates mad at the Dutch. Maybe. Possibly. But like I was saying, this is going to have grave consequences for the Dutch who really don't care. But those grave consequences include the formation of a military alliance. But not really the formation of one. More like the joining of one. That's right, the Danes will get help from the Eastern European Military Alliance. And on top of that, we have Norway joining the alliance simply to fight back against the Dutch, which have attacked one of their friendly nations, surprisingly. Denmark did break away from Norway, however, they've built strong relations in that time, so those historic tensions aren't there anymore. Who would have known that it took Denmark to finally get a response to the Dutch's actions? But unfortunately for the Square team, this isn't going to end just here. Because the Dutch, in their schizophrenic attacks, have been building an alliance of their own, which as of this very second only includes the French. So the two ancient allies are once again united on the war front. Ireland is like, yo, we got bigger fish to fry here. But I'm going to stay neutral because that's what I do. Everyone else, they're going to war. They're fighting. Now, if you're curious about military rankings, just real quick, the Dutch are the strongest country, followed by Norway, Poland, Finland, and then France. So the Diamond team is the 1 and 5, and then the Square team is 2, 3, and 4. How much stronger are the Dutch over Norway? Considerably stronger, but they're not going to be able to take like a bunch of territory from the Norwegians. But the Dutch will go ahead and occupy all of Jutland, and then they will move over into the Copenhagen Islands, secure those for themselves while also taking over a little bit of land from the Norwegians, showcasing that they are indeed capable of fighting and maybe even winning this war. Something that they wanted to show for another country. They needed to prove themselves to this country that this war was winnable, and the country they needed to prove themselves to is none other than the nation of Russia. Similar to the Dutch, the Russians believe that they need to be as strong as possible for the future in order to preserve themselves as a nation. They understand the world is against all odds, and unfortunately, it's the survival of the fittest out here right now. And they're more so joining against the Eastern Military Alliance, which has a lot of their lands they want to seek to retake for the third time now. And them working with the Dutch is quite weird. But like I said, the world is in chaos, times have changed, everyone is super aggressive, and the overall order of the world as what we knew it is gone. It's different now. Relations break down that easily, relations can change that easily. This isn't me just trying to make things happen in the series, this is me conveying to you that the world is insane. Once again, think about it. What if just continents appeared out of the ocean and then an alien race came down that was super far advanced than us and could wipe us out at any second, just came here? How do you think the world would react? Probably not too civically, right? This might be a little bit exaggerated because this is a fictional, mapping series. But Europe has just got itself into a very large-scale war that could definitely implicate other countries to get involved, such as maybe Germany or other nations that see an advantage on either side. That also extends over to Asia. This war will be a very brutal one, but now coming down to one last thing that has just occurred over in Madagascar. The Alternates have landed in the recently formed Pink Country and have taken over the entire thing with ease. There were very little casualties on either side, but the Alternates once again are showcasing aggression against the home world, and that is making people even more panicked in these difficult times. Their objectives are completely unknown. They say they come in peace, however, some of their actions defy that. They work with the assembly, yet also defy it. Uncertainty and chaos are at an all-time high, but that is going to do it for today's episode on What If Civilization Started Over. We are now 98 episodes in the series, which means there are 2 episodes left, 99 and 100. They are going to be insane, and I hope you're excited for them. Now, there's going to be a very brief post-credit scene here in a few seconds. If you want to watch that, I highly recommend you do for the lore, which is going to talk about the Alternates a little bit more and give maybe a little bit of background and give you some theories about why they are taking this land and what could be happening within the Alternate leadership. Other than that, if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to check out the channel memberships. Make sure to check out the Discord server, link down in the description below. I did say that the last WICSO video was like 2 hours long. This one is 2.5 hours long. Now, I don't think it's going to be as long because I had to stop recording in various spots because of some outside noise that you might be able to hear right now. But basically, there's a heater in the basement here, and it kicks on like every 30 minutes. Maybe not 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and it's extremely loud, and I don't like having it in the videos. Right now, though, I'm going through it because I just want to get this over with. I have a whole nother video to record for this upcoming Monday because I'm moving back down to college, and I have to get all my stuff up and going. On top of that, I'm super behind on assignments for my online class. Thanks, WICSO, for that. But also, my sleep schedule is completely destroyed because of WICSO, and just me not being able to sleep because I'm just trying to figure out how I can do all this stuff at once. Very stressful right now. However, getting this done is going to be huge. I gotta go draw all the cinematics for this video. I haven't done it yet, which is weird because you're seeing this now and you're like, how have you not done it? I just watched it and all the voices. Yeah, videography is pretty weird and all the cinematic stuff can be really complicated sometimes. But I gotta get that done tonight. Otherwise, I'm screwed tomorrow, screwed Saturday, and yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna finally hang up the recording. Thank you all so much for watching again. Hello to everyone in the live chat. Make sure to stick around for the post-credit scene. But with that being said, I'll see you all in the next video.
People of Earth, I stand before you once again disgracefully. I was notified that, in defiance of my orders to stand down, a section of our military invaded and occupied one of your nations. I want to be clear, I did not order this. While I cannot tell you everything, someone within our government has gone rogue. We will act swiftly to fix this. To the international organizations of Earth, you still have my complete compliance. Once this internal matter is resolved, we will help make this right by any means. Shortly, I will address Earth once again, giving you more information. Thank you.
Sir, the Vice Commander has taken control over 70% of our military forces. They are planning to oust you and have him lead the rebellion.
What? Impossible. Those men and women are loyal. They would not betray me.
Well, sir, things have changed. The troops have no morale. They do not think your plan is going to work.
Well, of course it won't now. The Vice Commander ruined it with his little invasion.
Yes, but he is framing you, and they believe it. The troops are desperate. They fear the Empire.
I see. Then I suppose it's time to tell the people of Earth the truth and fulfill our requirements completely. They must know that a bigger threat is coming, one that will make both of our groups go extinct. If the Vice Commander wishes to overthrow me, so be it. But Earth must be prepared.
The explosives are in place, and our battle is for our future.
And of course, thank you to all our super fans.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
You avoid trouble.